viewers, and welcome to TradeFlock. Today we have with us Mrs. S. Indrani Shanmugam, who's the Senior Director of Supply Chain Direct Materials Planning and Inventory Management at Western Digital Corporation. Here, she leads strategic planning and optimization of global materials flow and inventory systems. She plays a key role in driving efficiency, resilience, and alignment across complex semiconductor supply chain networks, ensuring seamless coordination between demand planning, procurement, and operational excellence. Today, we will discuss with Indrani about her career, personal challenges, strategies, and future plans. So, welcome to the conversation, Indrani.
Hi, Animika. Thank you for having me here.
Indrani, we would like to
Yeah.
start with understanding a little bit about you, your personal life, how it had been, and what inspires you, or what is so good and inspiring about this journey.
Okay. Challenging question, but let me take it this way, Anamika. I have been in this journey for almost 35 years now, right? In my role today, the journey where I started before and where am I today, typically it's not the same. And today, when previously I started, I told you in my previous discussion or interview that I've started my journey at age of 21. And I started with a startup company where I have to start from beginning to end, starting from raw material until shipping to tribe. And that journey was the one that actually laid down the path for where am I today. And today, if you look into where I started and where am I today, is not more about intervention, is more about attention, is more about how you amplify the work that you and your people need to do and what you really need to focus. Typically, that's what the journey all about. And in supply chain, there's no one day that we have to say that I can rest a day without an issue or disruption. Every day is a new day for us, right? So there's a lot of challenges and disruptions that we need to handle, that we need to focus, and we have to do the scanning without ignoring the symptoms that going to create a future disruption.
Great. So, this journey has been challenging. I understand where you started and where you are today has took a lot from you. So, what were some of the challenges that you faced during this journey? And when someone starts a career and they lack experience, so how did you handle those challenges, enhancing your personal experience?
Right. In my personal experience, as I mentioned, Anamika, um, there is situation that more challenging in my, I will call it a challenging or stressful that I have ever handled in a supply chain is never about single disruption. Is multiple risks converge at the same time, right? Supply chain is all about delivering, meeting demand, right? So when a lot of things comes together at the same time, like material shortages, demand volatility, quality issue, etc., while the organization still expecting you to run the business without any interruption, so we really need to focus what we really want to do at one point of time. So at that point of time, my first strategy after being in the supply chain environment for many, many years is that I take the note on calm prioritization, which is important when you're not dealing every situation on your own, right? If everything is urgent, it's and nothing truly actually we can focus. So I rather focus on what is prioritized so that you can give clear direction and clear pathways for the people who's going to focus and deliver the things. The second thing that how I handle challenges is that clarity on ownership, right? In a high pressure environment, right? Ambiguity creates anxiety. A lot of times we spend ensuring that clear roles and responsibilities, explanation path, and that is what actually is most challenging for me in my current environment because there's a lot of stakeholders involved. And how I deal with it is that first, moving towards a calm prioritization, provide what's important to be done, and then focus on that. Then second thing is focus on emotional regulation. My own organization, right? When I look at the team and my leaders, I really want to make sure that when situation arises, when crisis arises, we don't emotionally make any decision, because stressful environment can create a lot of negative emotional situation. So I like to make sure that I overcome that first before handling a task. And finally, actually, I rely on the pattern recognition and preparation for people, right? Every challenges situation, I like to pattern it. Okay, this is how it happened, and what action we took to solve it. And in future, if that happens, at least the junior people that's coming on board, we can train them to guide them to lead the situation. This is how I handles a challenging situation, Anamika.
That was about a leader. Now let us speak
Yes.
about a women leader, a women in the manufacturing industry. What were some of
Hmm.
the challenges you faced as a woman in this industry, specifically, which is very male dominated and uh, it has the history where male has been the driving force?
Well, that question has been in there for many women. I think this question is not only for me to address, but in the early stage of my career, Anamika, there's a lot of time in many years in my early stages is all about proving and my capability among the gender equality, right? Proving my capability as a woman. But along the way, the time changed, the environment changed. And if you look into the recent 4 5 years, a lot of leadership attention has been given to the leaders. A lot of attention. We have all the wins for women power and everything. Actually, that actually helps in the current environment. And for me, in my early stage of my career, it took me a long time to prove that it's not all about being a woman to prove. It's all about your capability, how you stand in front between another gender. That's all. Now currently I don't have that fear anymore with me, because with all the experience, all the knowledge that I have, and the experience in the environment, I can stand still to say that this is me and this is my capability. And I always think that anybody trying to overcome another person with the heroic character will not last long. It's all about capability, knowledge, and how you handle the situation.
So, how are you training your next line of leaders with this mindset so that they adapt women leadership, women team members, and also specifically training the women members of your team to become future leaders?
Okay, so the good thing is about my department or my organization that I'm in now, supply chain planning and procurement. The people who reports to be my extended leaders, 80% of them are women, right? And then I still have 20% of them men. But women, when they see me, and most of them has been with me at average 20 years, and they see me growing and they see how I handle situations, they tend to learn from that. And another thing is compliment. We compliment each other, right? Even though a person who has been in that position for very long doesn't mean that they know everything. With the current new generation, where they equip with a lot of social interaction and social media knowledge, they can actually influence the learning factor. And in my organization, my women leaders are have been given equally chance. And the one thing that I always tell them, which I learned in my early days, which started with a stressful journey and trying to prove it as a capability, trying to win over another gender. I tell them that the important things that you need to focus is not to overcome anybody. Just prove your capability. Just prove your knowledge base. Keep on adding your knowledge base, and that's what going to be the path laying for you for future.
Great. That's a great piece of advice for the leaders, despite what gender they belong to. However, looking at the current global geopolitical scenario, the disruptions that's happening in the supply chain, how do you ensure stability and the non-stop, continuous process and operations of your organization?
So this is what we call supply chain resiliency, right? Because, for example, we sit in Asia Pacific. I sit in KL and I take care the regional area. So when I take care the regional area, the important is for us to understand that what are the dependencies that we need to manage. What are the full dependency in the there's two things to it. One is, are we fully independent or are we fully dependent? So in the place that sitting in today, which is I'm taking care of the APAC region, the modern supply chains are deeply global design, right?
Mm.
And over the decades, the ecosystem has been built around specific capabilities and scale of efficiency and deeply embedded with supplier network. So what we really need to do is that we really need to make sure that this ecosystem are working fine, and not just that focusing on manufacturing base, we also need to make sure the hub for tooling, the material, the skill set, the speed is also there, not replacing any strategy overnight, but making sure that we are looking into the future disruption itself, right? And one word that I think very, very common now in the last years is that dependence, move dependence to resilience. That's one of the important thing, and leaders increasingly must recognize that it isn't one thing that we need to do, but we really need to optimize our resiliency, right?
So, looking at the future in the supply chain industry itself, what challenges do you see now?
So the challenges in the supply chain that we focus today, right, is actually basically what type of environment that are we in. And when I talk about environment, right, Anamika, the depends on what situation and what organization and structure that you are building in. Because moving forward, you are listening a lot of supply chain organization today are already moving into AI's data driven, right? When that comes into the picture, what is most important challenges today is that getting your people in the organization to adapt the AI capability to support the supply chain organization as well. Today, very oftenly, people thinking that AI is going to replace me. Is it going to take over my work? Oh, why should I learn? Why are they putting AI? Is it going to take over my work? That's most of the one of the challenge that I see here today.
Mm.
And my job as a leader here today is that to convince the team that AI is not actually a replacement tool. AI is actually helping in two ways. The first thing is to ensure that we speed up in our decision making, making sure that we spend most of our time in analyzing the data rather than data entering, right? We spend a lot
Mm.
of time even in the past. But the last 1 year since AI come, I frankly find out that this is actually making my life easy. I can spend less than an hour to get the data ready and spend most of my time analyzing. And that is the trade-off that we have today, which I think is very good for future. And for the people, they also going to have their work-life balance, because oftentimes when we have crisis, when we need to pull together a lot of data, people tend to spend a lot of hours at office, right? And they spend very minimum time with family, and worse still if they have young children. So now my convincing power with people is that, hey guys, take it as your buddy. AI is going to help you in your day of life, right? Take it as one of the tool to assist you to progress further. And this is one of the challenges that I'm facing today, apart from the normal supply chain disruption, which is shortage of the part, diversity of the supply base, and all that. This is one of the challenges that making sure that the human capitals are driven to the AI to make decision and analyze the data and take out their worries from whether it's going to replace me in my future work.
Great. I was about to come to this life balance, work-life balance. How do you do that? Especially this very, very, very sector which puts everyone on the foot day and night. So how do you balance?
Okay, so very, 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 very interesting question and my favorite question. Right. This is my favorite topic, Anamika. For your information, I am a certified emotional intelligence trainer. Right.
Mhm.
So and work life balance trainer, and that's my favorite topic. Why I say that is that I've been in this arena for 35 years, supply chain manufacturing environment, and this is one organization that evolving, and there's no one day everything is constant. Everything is changing every other day, and every day is a new day for us. So when that happens, right, maintaining work life balance is not easy, right? Because we always, as growing women especially, we like to always take things seriously. Everything is important, and especially women, because we have this motherly character, we think everything need to be super careful, so we put a lot of thought process at work, and when we go back home we're exhausted. So especially when you're a young kid and you don't do a work life balance, you're going to impact both ways, right? Your work as well as your home. So one of the critical important thing is to understand prioritization. What is important for the day, right? You might have 10 tasks in your plate, but as a leader, should be able to tell your people, knowing that you went through the same journey, what is important prioritization for today, and train them, right? The prioritization, so that they know what they need to done today, and then they can stop that and then go and handle their family. Otherwise, you are going to stress them, and when you are stressing people, their productivity, their efficiency is going to drop anyway. So one thing that I'll tell my people always is that I don't care how long you're in office, and I also will not view you as a hardworking, dedicated person if you are at work until 8 o'clock at night. What's important for me is how efficiently you get your work done, and how you're balancing your work life balance. Because for me, I have children, and I know how it affected my career and my work in my early stage, before me realizing that I really need to have a work life balance, right? And I also always tells them that you're, as a mother, you have to nurture your children at home, because they are the future generation. If you don't spend enough time with them at home, whatever you gain, how far you grow in your career, you're not gaining that at your home,
Mhm.
right? That's not right. So that's why work life balance is very important. And how to work life balance at work is that prioritization. Not everything is important to get done in a work every day. You need to understand that what is the absolutely important that disrupt the business. That's what you need to get done today, and list that down.
Mhm. That's nice. So I can hear this magic word, prioritization, which is, I think, the core of your leadership philosophy, right?
Yes.
Right. So moving to the last question here, Indrani, is how do you see your future uh, personally and professionally?
Okay, so how do I see my future? Um, I have I've been in supply chain for many years now, and I have been in leading people as a leader for at least 25 to 77 years. And moving forward, I always like to be addressed, or my future, I always like to be viewed as a leader, as a trainer, as a guider, rather than viewing me as a boss leading the supply chain. And supply chain is one of the area that really interests me, but one of the other core passion of me is training people. So I also like to bring the new generation to understand that while you're trying to adapt an organization, wherever, whatever career, whatever skill that you want to gain, but important is that when you want to grow in your career, you need to be a leader. And I would not want to be established as a leader and a trainer and a guider. And that's what I'm looking for my future, right? My future in the organization, in at work, or personally and in my personal environment.
So, I got to know a lot about you. Uh, One last thing, if I can add here, is with so much in hand and you being engaged in mentorship as well, how do you get time for yourself?
uh, that's a good question and a tricky question, right? um, how do I get my time to myself? So what I do, Anamika, is that I'm an early bird, right? I'm an early bird. I times up. I wake up like 5 o'clock in the morning,
Mhm.
right? And my work and everything brings me up to 10 o'clock. Early stage it was difficult when my children were growing, but now my children are all grown up. So my time for myself is the mornings that I have, which usually my coming period, which I don't have any situation, I don't get any input from anywhere what's happening around in my work. That's my coming period. When I wake up early morning, when I listen to my chanting and everything, that is my time. I call it me time. My family understand this, and they say they know that my mornings and my late evening is my me time, and they will never come near me during this time, right? And how do I spend that time is that I have a passion of reading, and I have a passion of spiritual. I am a very spiritual person. I pray and I chant. That's where I spend my me time. And I try to make sure that, again, I'm going to call my favorite word, Anamika. I prioritize. I stop. I'll make sure I call it unless it's urgent. If it's not urgent, I make sure I put a stop at my work. 6 o'clock. This is my time. After that is me time. And how I do with me time is my leisure. And unless it's business urgency, then only I'll go beyond that. Right. And more often my people will come back. How do you manage to do so many things in so little time? And I will always tell that I have a cheat sheet with me when I wake up after my early morning, after my me time. Before I move out from my me time, I jot down what are the things that I need to sort for the day, prioritize it. And at the end, I will put there AOB, because there will definitely be AOB, any other business that comes on the day. I cannot leave it empty, right? So I will leave it one, two, three, and the fourth one I'll put there. If it comes, it comes. Otherwise, it's me time. So this is what I prioritize and do it every day to make sure that I have enough time for myself, and I have enough time. I'm doing prioritization of work, whatever I need, and I have work-life balance.
Great. So I think the audience will learn a lot from you, from your leadership style, the way you carry yourself. I think that is going to be a huge learning for the audience. Thank you so much for your time, Indrani. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Anamika, and it was pleasure talking to you as well. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much. See you again. Bye bye.
See you again, Anamika. Bye bye.